I hope you will agree with the slogan what I told in the beginning. First and foremost important is to keep our body safe. Then everything comes next. So as an introduction, why we are talking so much on safety in these days, why maybe 10 years back, 20 years back, or maybe 30, when we started our career, it was not attracting so much trust. See, basically, every technological advancement is always accompanied with certain hazards. When there is a technological advancement in every area, maybe in the field of electricity generation or electricity utilization or machines, equipments, most of the things are advanced compared to a decade ago. So naturally, every advancement comes coupled with certain hazards. I will explain what is hazard and other things in next coming slides. So as we go advanced in technological area, when we have more and more hazards to face, naturally we must be more careful. Without meeting an accident, we have to survive. We have to learn how to live with them, how to use them for our benefit. That is first thing. Technological advancement. Just for an example, if I am to quote, maybe in the late 80s or early 90s, we had no mobile phones with this type of usage. The present day mobile phones, everybody must be having more than one. We have to find out how many people have only one mobile phone. Everybody has more than one mobile phone. So during 90s, early 90s or late 1880s, we had no problem of erection of these high-rise towers, maintenance of them, repairing them. This problem was not at all there. We had no problem of this radiation from these telephones. This problem was not there. So now today, without these mobile phones, we can't survive. A day has come that we cannot imagine to spend even an hour without the mobile phone. So naturally, if you want to have this advantage of this technology, you have to live with maintaining these towers, installing these towers, repairing these towers. Naturally, the level of hazard has gone up. So increased use of varieties of energy sources, maybe in very cold condition, electricity, wind, solar, thermal, you name it, we have all type of energy in use in various stages, very high level, very low, under the ground, over the ground, then very cold condition, very hot condition, corrosive, chemical active. So like that, we are using so many varieties of energy sources. Naturally, we have to be aware of the hazards when you are handling them and using them. Next comes processes. As the days go, every process, imagine, we are talking in microns, we are talking of very accurate, precise measurements and things like that. So naturally, the complicated processes associated with, they may be damaging the atmosphere, they may be causing problem to the operator, user. So like that, even processes have also become more complex. Next, competition. Now, everything must be fast. You can't imagine how much you can go. You see, it must be in the speed of thought. That is the idea people are thinking. Severe competition. So there is no room, chance for any loss, either manpower or raw material or machine, anything by way, result of accident. If there is any loss or hindrance, any blockage, naturally it is a loss. The entrepreneur will lose heavily on those counts. So because of that, he has to find out the ways and means how he can reduce the losses taking place from different directions. Loss of manpower due to accidents have impact on the company's performance. This is what I explained. And then increase the awareness among the working class. It is not like that. Governmental organizations, various governments are bringing out various legislations safeguarding the interests of the working class. It is not to exploit the employers, but meantime, employers cannot exploit the working class also. So this type of legislations and people, unions, people have got great awareness about their rights and these things. And finally, governmental rules and regulations that have to be followed by the employers. These are all the few things which make the safety very important. And finally, the image of the organization in the public. It is not the bottom line alone in a balance sheet which matters, but the image of the organization, how people talk about an organization in the public. Because of this communication system, the news spread very fast. Probably the accidents are also one of the parameters which people consider while building up or forming an opinion about the organizations. So basically, when you are talking, many of you must have heard, you may be from the safety field or working area or shop side, you must have heard attitudinal safety, behavior-based safety. Nowadays, a lot of discussions are going on. The safe working is related to the attitude of a person. This is why they say the first thing which starts is in our mind. If a person thinks that his work must be safe, that he must work safe without causing injury to himself and others, then naturally he will work safe and he will be safe and all others will also be safe. That is the idea. It is basically an essential attitude required for any job and begins with the proper frame of mind. When a situation changes, immediately his mind also should change to suit to that type of atmosphere. This is called attitude, outlook of a person, adjusting mentally and physically to the increased hazards around. From place to place, hazards level will be different. Working atmosphere will be different. So immediately he must tune his mind to suit to that. And welfare is considered as physical. See, actually, one time physical, mental, and social well-being is supposed to be safety. Now, the definition of the safety is much larger. It encompasses starting from raw material till the finished goods, the assets used in between, and persons who are using them and operating on the machines, and colleagues, environment, public, animals, all put together. Now they say environment, health, and safety, including health. In the process, if you are emanating certain poisonous gas to the atmosphere, which is detrimental to the people around, then you are responsible. You have to control it. What is the responsibility of the management? See, safety is an important part while considering an establishment of an organization. Devise safety procedures. What are all the equipments? What are the procedures? Standard operating procedures applicable to the specific areas. What are all the restrictions to be imposed? Who are the authorized people? Who are the competent people? So train and create awareness among the employees on safety aspect and sustain the safe practice. It is not one-time job. It is not one day we talk about safety, celebrate a safety day and forget about it. It is a continuous process. That is why in some person commented that discussion on safety has no full stop. It has only comma. Whatever we discuss, our discussion doesn't stop it here. It should continue tomorrow, day after, year after year. So almost every day, sustain the safe work practices and then exercise control. When I say control, both engineering and administrative. As an administrative person, you have an authority to insist a person to follow the rules and regulations, whatever you have laid down in the interest of the working person. That is very important. And engineering, devise methods, procedures, things like that. And then establish proper SOP, standard operating procedure, standard maintenance procedures. Then some of the famous saying, many of you must have heard this, just I am telling here, showing it here, just to emphasize the importance of safety. Now, when we are talking about the safety, naturally a question will arise, why don't we make our equipment safe without any chance for accidents? Yes, we have to try in that direction. It is not unfair to think in those lines. But can we totally avoid it, completely make safe? It is impossible. So the equipment, when it is in design stage itself, the designers also should think how the equipment can be made more safe. The location of the components, ergonomics, and materials used, all those things he can think, and safety component can be incorporated in the design. That is called elimination. That means you are trying to remove the hazard. Unsafe condition, you will not be able to completely remove it. At least you will be trying to minimize it to the extent possible. This is the first level in the hierarchy. The first level. Second, substitution, maybe usage of material, positioning of the components, heat producing part. People should not come in contact. Are you going to insulate it? Where you are providing? All such things. Maybe different methods, different alternative thinking, alternative designs, all these things come under substitution. And then engineering control. Once the equipment comes to your place, it is you who are using it. You must provide certain operating procedures, safety procedures, how you must cover it, what are all the boards you have to put, all such things. These come under engineering control. Engineering control. You provide a separate instruction sheet, how to load the material on this machine, what should be done, what should not, do's and don'ts. All those things come under engineering control. And then finally, administrative control. You are instructing a person to follow certain procedure. If he doesn't follow, as an employer, as a boss, as an in charge, you have every right to question him. That is called administrative. You are exercising your authority. You can question him. You must use it. Without that, you can't. And lastly is PPE, personal protective equipment. Personal protective equipment. This is called hierarchy of PPE. The most effective is the design stage where it goes on reducing. Hazard level goes on reducing. And at PPE level, it will be minimized to the least, but it is not totally eradicated. So, as per certain survey and analysis, there are certain important reasons. Here you can see most of things are person-oriented. Most of the actions are due to, based on the survey and analysis, they are taken on the priority. Priority-wise, first one is the most, the reason which caused the most accident. Second one is next, like that. See this. Most of the things are personal oriented. That means unsafe act. Unsafe act. So as per certain survey, more than 80% of the accidents are due to unsafe acts. If the people take proper care, majority of the losses could have been avoided. Either loss of life or loss of material or property loss. So many losses could have been avoided. And another 10-15% is unsafe act. Another 2-3% is act of God due to torrential rain, heavy wind, tsunami, flood, or things like that. They are only 2-3%. That is the act of God. The most of the cases are in our control. Still, we are unable to exercise it and control the damages. That is very unfortunate part of it. Not adhering to most of them are human based. Not adhering to safety rules. Failure to use PPEs. Defective and wrong tools. Wrong tools. If you call an electrician to your house today, he will come with one tester and one plier. Nothing other than that. Only two. These two will work as a spanner, plier, hammer, chisel, tester, everything. Please insist your people to use correct tools for the job. Carelessness on the part of the person. Hey, nothing will happen. I have done it during last 20 years, 30 years. Working in a hurry. Yes, I have to fetch my boy from the school. I have to rush home. This type of lack of concentration. I told you the case also. Lack of common sense. Overconfidence. Oh, I have done it so many times. Horseplay. Just for horseplay. Lack of common sense. Horseplay. Unawareness of the danger. His ignorance of the danger. That means he doesn't know. He have not put his mind to think about the work. Unawareness of the danger. Disregard for safety. Negligence. Lack of understanding of proper safety procedures. Untidy condition of the workplace. Again, who is to maintain? It is the people. Inadequate light and ventilation. Many times we don't bother about the light. In many industries, they don't monitor the light intensity at all. Bypassing the safety gadgets. Most of the maintenance people do this temporarily, but temporary remains permanent. Till it breaks down next or something happens, they will never come back who have done it temporarily. So just imagine. See, I will tell you one, expect the unexpected. I will tell another example. In an outdoor fabrication area, when welder was there, he was welding. With all these PPEs, he was welding. All of a sudden, it's an outdoor area. Lot of sheets were spread all around. He was welding in a particular point. All of a sudden, there was a rain. What happened? Since it is outdoor, with this arcing, welding rod, handle, everything, he started running to the shelter. He slipped down. He fell down. While falling, the welding rod touched his chest. Just imagine, it is raining, he is wet, arc struck between the rod and the chest. Person died. Is it in any of our expectation? So this is what I said, expect the unexpected. When we say so much, go so deep, the people forget all these things and then meet with the accidents. Brief introduction about safety. What is the importance of safety? Why that is getting more focus in the present day? What are all the needs, what are all the reasons, this everybody is talking about safety in the present context, industrial scenario, and what are all the impact of accidents taking place in industry, and various terminologies used like unsafe conditions, unsafe act, and many terminologies. I don't want to repeat. All these fundamentals of safety we have discussed in the initial stage. Later, we went into details of electrical safety, because electricity is one type of energy which is very vastly used across the sectors, almost every sector, including our domestic applications. So, the knowledge of electricity, whether we belong to electrical discipline or not, some knowledge about electricity and its usage, hazards, and how we can overcome or lower the hazards while using electricity. So we have discussed about that. So I spoke about that. And finally, material handling, as I told you, is an important component of industrial activity. So that we covered, how to what all the care one should take while operating the material handling equipment like cranes or forklift trucks or varieties of cranes I had shown, for example. And then in the crane, what are the statutory requirements, how we have to comply with the statutory requirements, all those things we have just touched. Today, we will be dealing with another few areas. The fire safety to start with I am taking, because it is another important aspect of safety in industries. Most of the fire accidents taking place results in vast devastation, loss of life, loss of property. So fire safety, it is another important aspect being considered in almost every industry. So that one we will be talking today. Later on, we will be going to other aspects of safety. First thing, what we should know, the fundamentals of talking about fire safety, the fundamental what we should know, what is the reason how a fire can break out. If at all a fire to break out, it requires three things. One is the air or oxygen supply. Another is the fuel, basic thing which burns actually. And next is the heat component. When these three components, generally we call it fire triangle, when these three components are available, naturally the fire will start. This is the start of the fire. So it requires the fuel, heat, oxygen. If you want to control the fire, it means that one of the components we have to remove from this. Maybe heat, maybe oxygen, maybe fuel. What to remove, depending on the type of the fire, type of the fuel, we have to add. That is the challenge in front of us. That is the challenge in front of us. Here, the main causes of fire I have listed, few of listed. Smoking, matches, this is carelessness on the part of the people. Just to throw it on the dust or dustbin, many people just to throw matchbox sticks or cigarette butts. That itself may be a reason for a big fire. Maybe many of the forest fires and many in the rural areas, many such fires in summer season take place because of such irresponsible acts on the part of us. Next is misuse of electricity, defects, misuse of electricity. That means electricity should be taken in a particular way with proper insulation. The electricity will flow only through the conductor. If it deviates the path, we say it is the fault. So that is why we are providing the insulation. Are we taking care of insulation properly? Are we really looking after, or time to time, do we check up the status of insulation? Many times the answer is no, except some very important areas. Rest of the places we have very scant respect for this insulation. We just pull the wire, take it through the pipes and bend it, whatever fashion we want, because it is a flexible thing and electricity can go any flexible path. So we have least regard for such things. So when an insulation fails or insulation gets open, just imagine if two wires are going together, touching each other. Once the insulation of one wire is damaged, naturally the heat is generated. That heat spoils the insulation of the side wire, next wire, second wire also. And in a due course, the second insulation of the second wire will also be damaged. Finally, two conductors become short. When the conductors are shorted, naturally spark, subsequent arc, flash, it develops. It finally results in a huge fire. See, most of the fire accidents or fire hazards are attributed to the electrical short circuit. Maybe Godon fire, the recent the hydroelectric station in Andhra, or the boiler fire in Neyveli, Whatever fire hazards are there, most of them, in the very recent chemical fire hazard in Mysore Road in Bangalore. So everywhere, they finally, after investigation, they conclude, oh, electrical short circuit is the reason for the fire. Very now and then we see it in the newspaper. So why electrical fires happen? Since it is a major contributing factor, I want to slightly expand on this. Why electricity? How electricity causes a fire? See, the people working in electricity, especially in maintenance, should be very careful while connecting, while terminating, while drawing the wire, while selecting the wire. Why do I say? First, let me state, starting from selection. When you are selecting the wire, the capacity of the wire should be adequate to the load current. When I say capacity, cross section of the wire. If you select an under capacity wire, naturally, when the higher current flows, that particular cross section cannot carry that rated load. So naturally, it gets heated up. When it is heated up, surrounding insulation gets heated up. Over a period of time, insulation loses its dielectric strength and it comes in contact with the neighboring wire. Subsequently, as I explained, both wires will get shorted and fire. So first of all, selection. When I say selection, one is the cross section depending on the current which you expect the wire to carry. Second one is the grade of the wire. When I say grade, it is a voltage grade which specifies the characteristic of the insulation. The insulation, what I am using for 230 volts is not sufficient for 415 volts. So when you are going to purchase a wire, you must be specific. What is the size, that is the cross section of the wire, and what is the insulation grade or which voltage level you are using. So if you don't select it naturally, that will be one of the causes. There is the capacity and the grade. Second, termination. When you are terminating, if there is a termination, means every connection should be terminated with proper spring and flat washer. Spring and flat washer. If it is not done, continuous, when the current is flowing continuously, there will be heating, cooling. Naturally, there will be loosening. Once there is a loose connection, there will be a spark in between the gap. The spark develops heat spoils the surrounding surface and results in a fire. So that is another thing. So connection, termination. When I say termination, all connections should be with the spring washers. Second, the joining. Sometimes you are joining. When the length is not sufficient, we take another wire and join. When we are joining again, there should be no reason for any porosity or gap, so that next stage will be the arcing. So you must connect it in such a way using proper ferrules or terminals or whatever it is. The third point is using the lux. You must use the correct size of the lux depending on the wire or cable size. Because if it is a larger than the wire size, then it is a loose connection. You must crimp them properly. If you don't crimp them properly, there will be inside there will be a gap, air gap. Naturally, the spark will start as the whole process gets repeated in every such cases. So this is the termination, joining, connection, and selection. In all these causes, places, if you take necessary care, many of the electrical fires can be avoided. That is second. Third one is, in every area, wherever there is a distribution board in your shop, surrounding 1 meter area should be kept clean, free. It must be accessible. In case of fire, they should not spread. Any combustible items you should never store near the distribution boards. Maybe cellars, maybe cable cellars, transformer stations, or your distribution boards, switch boxes. In all places, you should avoid keeping any fire hazardous materials. Defects in heating system, many times heating system, if it is, again it is a short circuit. Spontaneous ignition because of the temperature difference. Temperature, high ambient temperature. Certain cases will happen like that. Improper rubbish, especially inside the factory, probably many people will be moving around. It will fall to the sight of many people at least. When it comes to the inside the compound, near the compound wall, many places, as I have seen, all the rubbish will be just dumped without any care. Even chemical waste, plastic, metal, non-metal, different metals. Absolutely, there is no concept of segregating them, and there is no provision of any salvage yard, scrap yard, or anything like that. So this type of improper rubbish and arson. Many times it is human error, human mistake. People go into remote chances. Okay. Now, machine safety. You are using varieties of machines. But see, we can make it for a CNC machine. What are all the specific safety? For a welding machine, what are all the safety activities? Like that, you may have different safety recommendations depending on the type of. In a power press, yes, I have listed here. Power presses also I have written here. In an air conditioning plant, what are all the safety aspects? Diesel engine room, what are the safety aspects? Like that, in every area, so the safety aspects you must study, and accordingly you have to recommend corrective actions, maintenance activities, and what are firefighting specific, area specific, you must provide them. That is different. But generally, I have clubbed all the machines together. For grinding machines, in a tool section, I have dealt separately. They pose a different type of challenges. So that's the reason. So first of all, be clear about the operation of the equipment before you handle it. What are you doing? What is the type of equipment? You must be very clear. Ensure all machine guards are in position. It is a very common habit. Once the guard is removed, people want a shortcut. They are hesitant to put the guards back. Without the guard itself, they want to work on the machine. It is not a good practice. It is not a good practice. Guards are provided for the benefit of people operating it, using it. So you must use them. The people have, yeah. Can all the people mute their mics, sir? Some background noise is being heard. Kindly. Okay. Okay. Guards should be positioned, and in spite of providing certain interlocks, without putting the guards, machine will not start. Like that. Even then, people will bypass this safety device, and then without the guard itself, people want to use it. The normal tendency, psychology or attitude of the people is to shortcut the procedure. That should never be done. We have to change it. Yesterday in the beginning, I told you attitudinal safety. Safety should start from our mind first. Then only we can work safely and we can be safe, and others also can be safe. So keep the machine clean, and that is one thing. By keeping the area clean, by keeping the machine clean, psychologically you will have a conducive atmosphere to work in a safe manner. That is the idea. And many of the slip falls, falling accidents like this can be avoided. They can be avoided. Switch off the machine immediately in case of malfunction. You must be attentive. That is the point here. Stop the machine before making any adjustment, setting, tightening, loosening, adjusting, or whatever activity you want to do. First, you stop the machine, rotating part, moving part, all those things you have to stop, and then you have to. That's the next. And beware of the safety interlocks. Maybe in the power presses. I will have another 1 or 2 slides for power presses separately. In exclusive safety precautionary measures I have mentioned there. While tool setting and associated instructions. Ensure feed mechanics are in neutral. Whenever you are stopping or attending the machine, ensure the slides are not moving, they are stationary. So, even when in the morning in the shift, beginning in the shift, when you are starting the machine, all moving slides or whatever it is there, when you are switching on the machine, immediately you must, first thing you have to put all the levers in neutral condition, then start one by one, then only you can start using the machine. And do not meddle with the interlocks of machines equipment. Do not bypass the safety. I told you, do not handle machine scraps by hand. Scraps, normally there will be conveyor things, and finally it has to be moved to a particular area. People should use proper PPE, measurement of safety. Okay, with all these, finally, we want to judge ourselves. Where are we as far as safety is concerned? How do we monitor? Are we happy with our performance? One is very simple. If there is no accident, it is fine. Everybody is happy, of course. There is no doubt in that. But however, in the course of it, how to measure these, our safety performance, how to measure, there are certain rules. One particular style I have given here, but there may be many. Totally, the concept lies how many man hours you have lost because of the accident. First thing. And so many man hours are lost when so many man hours are utilized. So many millions of man hours in a year we have utilized, out of which so many man hours are lost due to accident. That is the concept. It is very clear, very simple concept. We have so many man hours utilized in this company. Out of these, So many man hours are lost due to accidents. Lost due to accidents. That's one indication. Now, there is again another severity index. There is one severity. It may be very small, minor, near miss cases, first aid cases may be there. But there may be certain serious cases also. How do you distinguish? How do you distinguish these two cases? So for that, there is another method. See, why we require that? After all, as a company, how many man hours we have lost? That is all what we require. So many man hours we have lost, so many money we have lost. No, the severity index is required. Severity is required because how your medical profession, help or medical assistance or first aid or your supplementing services work in curing such accidents, treating such accidents. If you treat a person very soon after the accident, he may recover within 2 days. If you treat him after a week, probably he may require another 10 days. So how you monitor this type of lapses on the part of the management? So that is the reason severity index is also considered. So you must see two. One is frequency, one is severity, two indexes. Standard frequency rate indicates how many injuries are occurring in relation to the number of man hours worked. Standard frequency rate represents the number of disabling injuries. There is another method. Suppose injuries are there. One person may be amputated or for some reason he will not be disabled. He will not be able to work. Then how do you consider that? For that also there is a standard rule. For such type of injuries, if a person loses finger, so many additional man days lost due to accident, you must add to the man days lost due to accident. If it's depending on the severity, they will fix up the number of days. So like that, these two methods most commonly used, and there are many other methods, and individual organizations will have their own sites depending on their operation process, number of employees, then the process involved, rather how serious it is. They have different. But as a sample, I have given one here. Please, I will just run through. Standard frequency rate represents the number of disabling injuries for given man hours of paper. Standard severity rate is the total time charged as a result of lost time injury for a given number of man hours of exposure. When I say hours of exposure, number of man hours utilized. Number of man hours utilized in the company. Severity rate indicates how severe those injuries are in terms of wage cost or relation to hours exposure.